is on with us today, and also our all around sports guy James J Train is in. So good morning to everyone. Good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Jack never says good morning, so don't worry about it. It's not that he has anything personal against you guys out there. He's just in the morning. He's not the best person to talk to. So
It is personal, Mac. I said good morning to James before the show. Sonia, I have to say good morning to. I didn't
All
see
right.
her before the show.
Good
Because
morning.
Sonia, waits to make her entrance at a certain time. So good morning,
Right.
Sonia.
Good morning.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. That of course, all the moms and your sisters and aunts and all that good stuff. Glad to have you aboard. If you're watching us, I mean, I know women are into sports more than they've ever been. So hopefully you're joining us today. And I promise you all that I will not give you a random stat after we talk about a score. I will not say anything like that is the first time in franchise history that a team at 2 apiece in the third inning, while it was cloudy and they had on their away jerseys, ever did that. So I promise I won't do that as they do in other networks to try to impress you with their stats. We don't do that here. So anyway, again, good morning. Let's start off with the NBA playoffs from last night. Dallas went up 2-1, beating OKC 105-101. Kyrie had 20 points, and of course, his other former the other part of the dynamic duo also had his job. Gafford has been surprising, guys. It's 16 points and 11 rebounds. They need a third person to step up over there in Dallas to help out the dynamic duo there. He did. He got 16 points and 11 rebounds. Gilgeous had 20, I think it's 29 points in the loss. So anyway, there we are, 2-1. And Boston and Cleveland, they also played last night. Any comments on the OKC Dallas game, guys?
Well, to me, it looks like it's destined to go 7 games. I mean, game 4 is so pivotal to me. If Dallas is to win the series, they've got to do it in game 4, get off to a 3-1 lead, because if they go back to OKC 2 games apiece, I feel OKC takes game 5 and Dallas is in the hole. And something about the Mavericks, they've always lacked this consistency, at least this year. They've lacked the consistency, to run off 2, 3 really good games in a row. And they've had their 2 good games in a row. Let's see what happens in game 4. Even though it's in Dallas, I expect OKC to bounce back.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, listen, Dallas, everybody, OKC jumped out fast. A lot of people were not, we're not counting on OKC to do anything as they played Dallas, but it looks like that they're up for the challenge. Boston reverts back to the best team in the East. They beat Cleveland 106-93. Brown with a big game. Brown's been surprising. He's pretty much been their leading scorer. Tatum with his rebounds and his points, and of course also let's see, Donovan Mitchell with the big 33 points for Cleveland. So Boston 2-1 lead. Everybody figures that they will be in the finals, the Eastern Finals, come the end of this playoff series here. Good morning, Keith Angle. How you doing today?
Good morning, people. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day.
So as you know, we have Keith. Yes. So Keith comes in and he does this college update, and he does a little bit of Patriots and Knicks news for us, and we got plenty of that to get to. Keith, let's start with the Knicks. The Knicks lose game 3. They're still up 2-1. They're still playing in Indiana for game 4 here. Of course, the injury is playing a big role in the Knicks not playing up to what they could play. I just heard something that Randall might be back for this playoff series. I just saw that when I came in. Maybe when they come back to New York, if they get Randall back, even if he's injured a little bit, it will give other players are rested, maybe he can do a little bit of damage.
That is news to me. I have not heard that. So I'm not saying you didn't see it, but again, I'll have to do some searching later, but I don't, I highly doubt it based on what we've heard up till.
Max got his sources, Keith.
He might, he's probably talking to Willis Reed through the Ouija board or something.
Mac. But of more concern, Anunoby is going to miss game 4, maybe miss game 5, and who knows what's beyond. I mean, that's really big. I'd be focusing on that.
Brunson and Hartenstein are banged up, so I mean, we're waiting for the next guy to go down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
This game the other night, again, they played so well, but at the end, it just felt like Brunson sometimes, and this, I hate to criticize Brunson. Every once in a while, he just tries to do too much. And at the end of that game, I felt like he tried to put everything on his back, which they probably needed. I mean, I'm not criticizing him that much, but like that last 3-pointer that they're complaining about fouls. Please stop complaining about fouls. I'm tired of every one of these games getting dissected for the referee's calls. Every single game, the NBA's had to make a comment on calls during the game. And no, I'm just tired of that stuff. And look, you're playing well. You're up 2-1. They bounced back from tough losses very well here recently. So listen, I think they're still in control of the series, and I'm very confident. They've done a good job with the next guy up, and playing a short rotation, and they'll be fine.
Well, I'm surprised McBride. They haven't used McBride that much this series. He's deadly from the outside. He had 29 points one game. I think they should start giving some other people a shot here, give some people a rest.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a blow for a minute or two, it doesn't have to be, you sit him on a bench for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hartenstein banged up. They've got very little choices there unless they want to play Sims, who hasn't hardly played in, months now. It's going to be very tough to get some of these guys to come in and give you productive minutes. But even if it's just to come in and like you said, give them a blow for a minute, it would help. Getting OG back is going to be huge, as Jack alluded to a second ago. That's, for them to have any chance in the next series, for sure. If they get by this series, I'm not saying that's 100%. They run into the Celtics, they're going to need OG to be able to compete in that series.
I agree. Good morning. Good morning, Rick. Glad to have you in this morning. Keith, college basketball news. Creighton will be the 8th team to compete in the NCAA NIL tournament, scheduled to be part of the Atlantic tournament. The tournament will be played on Thanksgiving week in Las Vegas. $1 million in payouts are on the line, Keith.
I heard about this tournament a couple of months ago, and I've talked about it a little bit then. And I don't know why we need that. Why do we need this tournament? It's kind of like the NBA midseason tournament. Well, why? You've got preseason tournaments now. We've got the big tournament, the conference tournaments, and then the big tournament at the end of the season. And you've got some holiday tournaments. This is just all about dollars, and just reminds people of that. Will I tune in? Probably, but it's not needed.
James, you think is this really helping college basketball at all? I mean, we got to live with the NIL, we got to live with the trans portal, and as Keith said, these tournaments really don't mean that much.
No, I don't think it's going to help. I mean, you're watching with the basketball the way it is now as a good entity. So the tournament is really where everything is. It's the major tournament itself, March Madness. I don't see this as really like going to move the needle in any way. It may spark. I don't know. I'm not watching basketball regularly until March Madness comes. And I guess maybe that's what they're trying to do, is try to. When is it supposed to be? When is it? Is it mid-season or? Okay, so I think that makes more. It makes sense from where they're logically trying to get you more views during that time, but I would imagine it's still not going to beat out or get people to tune in more so than they would March Madness.
You know what else it'll do? It'll hurt some of these other tournaments, the early season tournaments like the Maui Classic and the Great Alaskan Shootout, and these things have been played for years, and they draw a lot of the elite teams and small teams. I can remember when I was a young man, Chaminade beating Virginia with Ralph Sampson in that Maui Classic. So you're going to hurt those tournaments that already exist and have been out there for decades. But again, we don't care about tradition. We just care about dollars now. So I guess I better stop complaining.
There is some news in college football also, as you know, the 12-team playoff and all that. Head coach Sonny Dykes says there's something else that will be coming down the line that will happen eventually. We'll split into separate divisions. He compared Alabama playing, now they're playing a different game than the smaller schools. The Group 5 will only have one team in the postseason. We talked about this before, Keith. Do you see a split in the college football coming here pretty soon?
Probably that's the natural next step, right? Whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it's not going to happen overnight, but you'll see. And in a way, it might help, because when they do this super conference, right, it's not just going to be the Big Ten. I'm sorry, the Big Ten and the SEC. There'll be other schools involved, and they're talking about 40 teams, 60 teams, could be as many as 80 teams, not 131 that are there now, but they're talking about playing in regional pods, right? West, Midwest, Northwest, Southwest, East, and you might get some of the regional rivalries back that have been lost through some of the realignment in the last decade. So, yes, I think that's a natural progression here. It won't happen overnight, though. Again, and at that point, you've probably got just another professional football league and not college football in any sense. So.
Yes, that's the truth. Let's talk about Pats. Pats are a new president of personnel. Is his name Wolf, Keith? Is that his last name? That's the new the Patriots. Their new personnel president.
It's oh gosh, it's escaping me here. I had it in front of me. Elliot Wolf.
Okay.
Elliot Wolf.
Okay, so he's in charge of player personnel, the salary cap, and here we go again. They bring up the Rooney Rule, right? That there's really no requirement for transparency for these interviews, so no one can check out and see if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I know you're against the Rooney Rule because it's the teams are going to do what they want to do anyway. But for this thing to have any teeth, for the Rooney Rule to have any teeth, it needs to be open and be able to be scrutinized, right? I mean, yeah.
The problem with the rule is, and I understand, and it's had some impact through the years for sure, as far as hiring of minorities, not just for head coaches, but front office hirings. But teams who know who they want, if he's not a minority, there's token interviews that are done just to meet the requirements. And it's very hard to police something like that, because how are you going to read somebody's mind? And there are a lot of guys that are minority, that fall into minorities classification, that there would be good head coaches or good executives, and they should have a shot. But I just don't know how you're going to make it happen when you're talking about human beings, and unless you get a mind reading machine. You saw the whole thing with Flores and his lawsuit against the NFL, that he was getting brought in for token interviews, and that's what that was all about. And I don't think it's been resolved yet. I don't believe. I think that's still ongoing, right? So
yeah, and what it ends up doing is it kind of, when you do something like that, when you start suing people in the NFL, and whether you want to admit it or not, I mean, I know Flores got a job, but the other owners kind of look at that and say, well, I don't know if I want to hire this guy as a head coach or not. He's kind of making a problem for the NFL right now, and I know he wants. I think he's doing what he thinks he should be doing, but it does lead to hard feelings down the road anyway.
Well, let's clear something up on Brian Flores. he brought this lawsuit after he didn't get the New York Giant head coaching job. That was his dream job. He didn't get it. He was disappointed. Then he brought upon the lawsuit. Let's make that clear.
Well,
if he was just standing on principle, the lawsuit would have been brought up, before that.
He's only making the lawsuit because he found out that he was never getting the job, and he just was brought in for a token interview. That's what.
Through a text message from Bill.
I'll give you an idea what a token interview is. The LA Chargers, they knew they wanted Jim Harbaugh. Now, if they had to interview someone else, that's a token interview, and that's unfair to the candidates, unfair to the Charger organization. And that's when the Rooney Rule isn't good. The Rooney Rule is good when an organization isn't sure who they want to hire, and they're going to interview a number of people. That's when the Rooney Rule is at its most effective, and that's when it should be brought into play.
I don't know how it's a lot different, because the way I understood the story was they knew who head coach they wanted, who was the head coach they hired, and was still bringing people in. That's a token interview. Same thing you just described.
Yeah. Well, when Brian Flores interviewed with the Denver Broncos afterwards, I have compassion for his feelings as far as that goes, because they came early in the morning. They seemed completely disinterested, John Elway, as if they just wanted to get it over with. I mean, I would be very upset if I was him in that type of situation. But the Giants were 100% justified. Their GM, Joe Shine, had a good relationship, a close relationship with Brian Daboll at Buffalo. So that's the guy he wanted. It didn't mean Brian Flores came in. Maybe he did have an outside chance of getting the job at that point. But, but a lot of times a GM knows who they want, but they could be swayed. Look at Atlanta. Belichick looked like a lock to get the job in Atlanta, but obviously things went down. Maybe the owner heard some things about Belichick through Kraft. That's what the rumor has. And Raheem Morris, they had a relationship with before, and he was more impressive in the interview. They feared him less than Belichick. But, sometimes a candidate does have a slim chance and just doesn't get it done.
Slim. And again, I'm only using Brian Flores as an example. There's guys that are brought in year after year. Same guys brought in year after year for interviews, and they never get a job. Never. And the Patriots, I guess to the spirit of the law, the Patriots probably violated the Rooney Rule this year because they just hired Gerard Mayo. They didn't even interview anybody else, even though he's a minority candidate.
Right. If you know who you want, an organization, if they're focused on one candidate who they want badly, they shouldn't have to follow the Rooney Rule because they know who their guy is.
Well, then the rule doesn't need to exist in that case because most teams do have a pretty good idea where they're going. Most teams, right? But
yeah, I don't know. Just to close this out, I don't know what the punishment is if you don't follow the Rooney Rule. I mean, they're not. I don't think they're fining anybody or taking draft picks away. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
I don't remember the last time somebody was found in violation of the Rooney Rule. To be honest with you, I don't remember the last time.
Right. So let's get Sonia in here a little bit. She's been real quiet. And
I thought she took a little nap, but I didn't know her eyes were closed.
So Sonia, the NFL schedule is due out May 15th. They try to. I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be, right? Because we really didn't know too much before the season started. Back in the days of newspapers, we had to wait for that to come out to find out what the schedule was. I don't think they do a good job with this. We know that the Green Bay Packers and the Eagles are playing in Brazil. We know that, there are teams that are going to be going overseas and we know the dates and everything. We know that, the teams are going to be playing the teams in their division 6 times. We know, I hate to keep saying that, but we know that the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers are probably going to play in one of the first games of the season. That the better teams are having a harder schedule. The lesser teams are having a favorable schedule for the most part. So a lot of that surprise is gone. And I think maybe the NFL should play a little more close to the vest, when the schedule's due to come out in May.
Yeah, so it's not as hype as it used to be. In fact, they all roll out these big videos and all this big production that the production teams, the management teams, their people, their PR people put together to kind of hype up the team and who they're playing. But you're right, like a lot of the matches are already set. And in fact, they actually tell you who the opponents are prior to that. You're just basically getting the dates when May 15th rolls out. So I know I plan to talk about it on Wednesday. I'm kind of excited about it. I know the Panthers are going overseas this year. And it kind of does pull some of the excitement out, of what we used to see, especially as we get further and further into social media. And unfortunately, sometimes you have like a sneak peek because someone's already got the heads up and they kind of ruin it. I've seen that happen. Like, wait a minute, like, oh, well, this is what we know. And it's literally a mirror the next day. So all you're doing is seeing, the video hype. And to me, those have not been all that. The rollouts have not been all that. However, I am excited to see, the exact dates. I guess you could plan your calendar by that and know, like, for instance, okay, Dallas is playing such and such team. I think they play us this year. Some of the NFC East, I think we play you guys, Mac. So that's going to make an interesting, segment. But it feels like, in a sense, that we just played you all as well. So I think a lot of the hype is gone. I think overall that the NFL is sometimes grappling to try to get engagement from fans because there's been so much negativity associated with off-field stuff that kind of permeates into infield, that they're trying to make sure the fans stay engaged. When you merge that in with the college draft and how they're doing NIL and big people like Nick Saban stepping down, I think it's a domino effect overall that they're trying now to, like, hey, let's make sure we really do this because we're losing our fans. We're seeing stadiums, some of them not as full unless it's, one of the more faithful fan bases, the older teams. But they're just trying to really get engaged with the fan base.
Well, you bring up some off-field issues, and that sets me up for Rashid Rice, who's back in the news again. When he was at SMU, played his college football there. There's a report out that he actually shot bullets into his girlfriend's car. She wasn't in the car, but SMU University didn't report it to the authorities, trying to protect him so he could still continue to play. And now, of course, we're starting to hear about this now, and it's kind of piling on with the other two incidents that he was, charged in trouble with, the high-speed crash he got into, the fight in the nightclub, now this. And Jack said maybe they should, maybe he might get in trouble, maybe go to jail, or maybe he should be suspended. I guess that'll be all up to the NFL or Kansas City Chiefs. So what happens there? I'm surprised they didn't let him go yet. But he's definitely a troubled kid or a troubled man. He's not a kid anymore. A lot of the NFL teams supposedly knew about it. That's why they didn't draft him. I don't know if Kansas City knew or not. But it seems like Kansas City has a lot of problems over in Kansas City with drinking. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City right now. But again, here's Rashid Rice with another problem being reported. Keith, I know you've talked about it before. So what does Kansas City do now?
Cut him today. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but we don't do background checks. If you've got talent, we'll find a way to forget about this report from SMU or whatever school we're talking about, and the league is full of bad acts, and we don't care. They don't care until they get caught, and they've got to do something. And this has been the NFL for a long time. Go back past even Ray Lewis. Look at the incident Ray Lewis was involved in. What happened to Ray Lewis? Anything major happened to Ray Lewis? I must have missed it if I did. But
well, let's clarify just a little bit.
Don't let me out of footballs. I'm just going to say.
I'm sorry, Keith. Yeah, let's clarify just a little bit that Rice they could never pinpoint whether or not he was the actual shooter. It was him or one of his associates. And the vehicle he shot into was his girlfriend's male friend's vehicle. And so I know it doesn't really like clean it up, but I think that's why he was never like prosecuted for it, because they couldn't pinpoint who the trigger person was. But to me, that's no different than the Alabama basketball player that they did shoot up this girl and kill her, and he was allowed to continue to play what was a couple seasons ago for the basketball team in Alabama, and they knew that that he had something to do with this student being
You
murdered.
mean Brandon Miller?
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't change the character issue, though, right, Sonia? I mean, the fact that he's hanging around with guys that are carrying loaded weapons and going to shoot them into their ex-girlfriend's car is a problem. And
John Morant, he rides around with pistols in his car.
There's too many. There's so many bad. I blame the NFL because it seems like there's more, but there's more players, I guess. The NBA is just as bad. And again, it starts to turn people off after a while when you just turn the other way, as long as they can play and don't get charged with anything.
Well, Rice was driving 119 miles an hour. That's not an accident. Complete disregard for the public. And he got into an accident, but it's a sticky situation for the Chiefs, because you look at Andy Reid, he's had enough problems with his own sons. I don't have to document that. So what's Andy Reid going to be so righteous all of a sudden? No, get rid of him. We can't have someone who lacks character. It's kind of a sticky situation there.
I've mentioned that a couple of times, and I think we talked about it again a little bit Friday, Mac, that, it is tough for Andy Reid because of the situation with his own son, who got a pardon or a clemency or whatever he got here a couple of months ago. And he killed somebody in a car accident. It was much worse than the outcome here. So it's a tough situation for Andy Reid.
Did she get killed or badly injured? I think she got injured, the accident Andy Reid's son was in.
I could be wrong. I apologize.
Yeah.
For the mistake.
Well, let's get to the little happier news here. Bill Belichick is going to be a permanent guest.
Happy news, Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about anybody getting in an accident or something like that. We're talking about
great.
So anyway, he's going to be part of the Manning broadcast. He's going to be talking about the defensive side of the ball, of course. I don't know if Bill Belichick will call out any defensive coordinator, like Ryan does. Ryan says, "What the heck are they?" He's not that type of person. He might point out what they could do better or something like that. But I don't think Bill Belichick is a big mouth guy like Ryan is. That would say
Ryan.
Like
which Ryan? What am I missing here?
Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan. Yeah.
How's Rex Ryan come into it? He's an old dinosaur.
Because he's a defensive coordinator. Belichick's a defensive coordinator, and I'm saying that they have different personalities. That Rex Ryan is more of a loudmouth than Bill Belichick is. That's all.
I think he's going to be very good. How critical he gets, I don't know. We'll see. I think in this type of format, I think he'll be very good. If you don't watch a Manning cast, you should. It's the only way I'll watch Monday Night Football. I won't watch it. I can't watch I can't watch you two guys.
I can't watch the Manning podcast. I want to watch the game live.
Yeah, but the game's on. It's game's there. I can watch it. I don't need to hear,
Right.
Buck tell me everything that how
I don't like it.
Football.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
I just watch the game. I got the game right there, and I don't, whatever. That's all right.
Okay, who here watches? Wait. Amongst the five of us, who watches the Manning telecast more than the regular game telecast? Does anyone here? Keith? Any? James?
Every time it's
Mac, myself. I watch the regular telecast, but I do switch to the Manning one, depending. If they have a very interesting guest, it might keep me there a while, but I prefer the regular game telecast.
I just can't.
Are they good? Are they good? I've never watched.
I watch. It's like to me, I'm having fun. It's like I'm watching when my buddy's watching a game, and I have a lot.
I just can't get over Peyton's voice. It's just like he sounds like he needs a nasal every time we.
I watch Tom Brady's record against them, and I get a big smile on my face, and I'm very happy.
Okay, well, I don't know. Listen, I want to watch the game. I don't want to listen to. I mean, they're funny sometimes. Come on. I mean, let's. I'm a purist.
Yeah, they're going to try to get Belichick to joke around, have fun, and on and on.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
It'll be
So
fun.
anyway,
I got to pop.
so I know.
gotta do-
All right, Keith, have a good one. Keith from TGI Sports Talk. Go over and check him out when you get a chance on.
See you guys.
Yeah.
see you, Chief.
There you go. So he's over on the Roku channel right now. If you want to check him out on that, we got a few comments here. Chris F. Grave, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Can never go wrong with running a program the Cardinals way, old school. Is Kyler Murray really old school? I don't know. I guess that would be up for debate. But anyway, I guess he's a Cardinals fan. Anthony Fernandez, the Manicast is the best. Eli is hilarious.
He's only saying that to go against me and James. That's all. Hi, Fern.
All right, there you go.
He's a Giants fan.
Yeah.
Yes, well, he's a
Tiny
good guy.
fan.
I like him. Let's keep it positive, says Chris. Mother's Day spectacular. Max Monday. Montoya is 68 today. Happy birthday, Max Montoya.
Happy birthday, Max.
There you go. Well, yeah, happy birthday. I don't know who he is, but hey, happy birthday. I got no problem with that. Let's continue on the NFL road here. Got some interesting stuff to talk about. Let's see. Jerry Rice's son, Brandon Rice, fell to the Chargers in the 7th round. It's a blessing, according to Brandon. He'll be teaming up with Justin Herbert over there. Pretty good quarterback. I'm just wondering, will his workout be the same as his father's workout? I mean, I've seen him work out, run up hills in the stadium and all that stuff. So, I imagine his father's going to be with him. Maybe he'll be working out with him. Yeah.
He said his dad was upset about him falling in the draft. He said his dad was heated or hot or something like that. He was quoted saying like he was not appreciative at all.
Yeah.
Well, these teams make me laugh, like the Chargers. They said afterwards they had a 3rd or 4th round grade on him. Then why did they wait till the 7th round to take him? It makes no sense at all. And if he's not Jerry Rice's son and he's a receiver, he has no more than a 50-50 chance of making the team and making the practice squad, because 7th round draft choices are kind of iffy. You might get lucky with one the way the Chiefs got with your running back Isaiah Pacheco, but for the most part, 7th round draft choices, it's a struggle to, just make the team and contribute. But, he did play with an elite college quarterback, Caleb Williams. So now to play with Justin Herbert. So, maybe the kid will turn into something good. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, James.
Well, the majority of I can see why he fell to the 7th round. First of all, he ran a 4.5, which is not bad for a big receiver, but he's 6'3", he weighs 208. He's not that big. He's a very tall guy, but he's not that big of a receiver. And the difference is, like he even said it himself in the article, his father was a smooth route runner, and he had a route tree. This guy doesn't have an extensive route tree. 7 of his 12 touchdowns were go routes. So he's more so the guy that takes it. I wouldn't necessarily take the top of a defense at 4.5. Maybe he plays faster than his 40 time is, but he's got a lot of work to do. But he'll have the opportunity because there's not much there to compete with at the same time in Los Angeles.
Now, if you're the Chargers, do you bring in Jerry Rice as a receivers coach if his son makes the team? Could that be more of a distraction? Because if he sees his son is hardly playing, there could be a bit of discontent. Do you use the great wisdom that Jerry Rice could bring to the receiving room?
Yeah, I would. I would definitely bring him in. At least, let's just say, I like the fact motivation is always key, especially when it comes from somebody great. Like with the time when the Giants in 2011, Michael Strahan came into the locker room and gave them motivation, and they end up winning the Super Bowl again.
As a coach, James, I'm not talking about a pep talk.
I wouldn't take him in as a coach. No, I wouldn't take him in as a coach, but I definitely take him in from time to time to come in and give some pointers, or maybe work on the side with his son and with the receivers. But it wouldn't be a distraction, but I wouldn't have him as a coach, not at all.
Another son coming up and following in his father's footsteps, we'll see how well he does with San Diego. I'm rooting for the guy. That's all I want to say. The young quarterbacks, they take the field for the first time in the mini camps, pretty much to get to know the coaching staff, the players, the field. They kind of ran some routes with the quarterbacks, the tight end ran some routes, running back, stuff like that. It's more or less getting used to the players, building relationships, stuff like that. The Patriots are changing their philosophy where they're going to throw the ball downfield more, and they got the quarterbacks there to do it. Drake May, Brissett. There's another kid, I don't know his name, but he has a big arm also. So, they primarily the last couple of years, they're dinking and dunking, throwing a tight end. So they want to open it up more. And we'll see. They got the quarterbacks to do it, and they got a decent group of wide receivers, maybe their best group of wide receivers in a long time over there right now. Last year, really not a great receiving crew. So New England changing his philosophy. J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, those guys were all, Jaden Daniels were all out there throwing and visiting with their teams and getting to know the players. So it's just the beginning. And I'm going to tell you, I guarantee you this year, I will not get excited. I don't even watch any videos of my team in mini camp or in training camp throwing the ball, making great catches, while they're hardly dressed. They're not getting hit. I fall for it every year. This year, I'm not doing that. I'm waiting at least to the preseason game where they're actually playing somebody before I start watching them. So I'm promising you that, Sonia. So keep me honest there.
I will. So I have a question for you, Max. So what matchup are you most excited about going into the season? Just a little off record here. Just want to plug it. And then I'll ask Jack as well. And
it's definitely not the Carolina Panthers. I mean, that's
because we're gonna blow you out. You're gonna be shocked and you're gonna be done.
Okay. So we'll have a bet on that before the game happens. But of course, I want to see him playing the Eagles and Saquon Barkley. Can they stop Barkley? How's the Eagles team going to be this year with their new coaching staff? Daniel Jones and the neighbors. I mean, is there going to be anything there for Jones this year? I'm going to talk about him in a little while, but what will the Giants bounce back a little bit this year? We got Carolina's good edge rusher. Our defense looks a lot better. Our offensive line, we'll see how they perform this year. So we're going to have just playing in East is going to be tough. I mean, we got 6 games against some pretty good teams there, so that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
What about you, Jack?
Yeah, there's no particular game. I have to see the schedule. For example, let's say the Jets were playing at Green Bay. Yeah, I would kind of look forward to that, but not just the game itself, to see what the crowd reaction would be towards Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not a believer in the NFL. You could look too far ahead and on schedule and say, oh, what a game, we're targeting it. Because we don't know what teams are going to be at a certain point of the season. I mean, we can speculate. I know Mac liked to do that a couple of years ago. He liked to project the whole NFL schedule. Who's going to win this game? Who's going to win week 11? And to me, I went along with Mac, but I objected the whole way. It made no sense to me because by the time you get to that week, you don't know where the team's going to be. Look at my Jets, for example. I mean, they had all that hope, but by the time we were getting late in the season, the games weren't important anymore. So, but, certain storylines, could happen. The NFL tries to make these marquee matchups. Like they'll have a rematch, I'm sure, the Chiefs and the 49ers. Everyone's going to be so excited about it. Before we know, the 49ers could be in third place behind the Rams in Seattle if they're playing, let's say, week 10. I'm not saying they will be, of course, but let the season play out, see who they're playing opening game and kind of take it from there. And, we focus so much on a particular game, but what does it mean later on? Like the Jets supposedly wanted to get some revenge on Sean Payton because he put down Nathaniel Hackett. So the Jets beat the Broncos head-to-head, but then Sean Payton was proven right afterwards when the Jets collapsed. But for that one game, everyone was so focused on.
Yeah.
James.
James? Go ahead.
Jack, for the most part, I agree with everything with what you're saying. But man, there's that personal vendetta that I gotta have against Sean Payton. We're gonna play the Broncos this year, so there's no way. I don't care if we're good, bad, whatever. I want to beat Sean Payton.
Well, but number one, Sean Payton was a pretty honorable coach, forgetting Bountygate and all that stuff. But he was pretty loyal to the Saints for a lot of years. He's entitled to finally leave. What did he do wrong to the Saint organization?
You just don't leave like that and go coach another team after 1 year. I mean, it's not like he got fired. He didn't get fired. He just left. He left us hanging.
Yeah, well, maybe he saw the Saints as being a little bit of an aging team and whose window was closing or closed.
After Drew left.
He waited 1 year after Drew Brees left. 1 year after Drew Brees left and then decided to bounce. Come on, man.
But he took a year off. What do you want him to take 5 years off and then he won't get a job? He'll become irrelevant at that point.
No, I agree with what you're saying there, but I still want to kick it to him before leaving it after Drew Brees. Yes, fine. He can go back.
You're a fan. If Sean Payton takes the field, do you boo, do you cheer, or what? What do you do?
If I'm a fan, I'm going to cheer first half initially when he comes in. Because, I mean, without a doubt, he gave us a Super Bowl. Yeah. We never had that before. We got the Super Bowl. But now after the cheers are gone, it's time to light him up.
Okay, yeah, which is understandable because it's competition after that. But when he first comes on the field, he deserves a nice ovation. He did deliver.
Absolutely. Like I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, that's out of respect. I mean, you look at Sean Payton, Drew Brees era before before that, man, there's not much you can really say. I mean, it's just good organization, but we just weren't winning. We weren't winning.
He tried to remove it, make it look like it was innocent by him leaving and going into commentary so that it would remove the fact that he just up and abruptly left after Drew left. But basically he didn't wait enough time.
I mean, the Saints were relevant in the 80s. They had a great linebacker crew. Jackson was one of the linebackers.
The late 80s. The Dome Patrols we're talking about.
Yeah, they were a decent team back then. And, so, I mean, they did have some success there, but, of course, no Super Bowl. So, Sonia, what's your matchup you're looking forward to?
Oh, wow. I guess it would be Dallas because their fan base is sickening. And there's so many Cowboy fans in the Carolinas. There are Cowboy fans everywhere. Let's be honest. They're like cockroaches. They're everywhere in an abandoned house. Yeah. No offense to my Cowboy friends who are literally legit friends and don't come for me. But I have a lot of family members and stuff like that, and they watch the show, so I know they're probably gonna, attack later. But when they come to our city, they literally take over, even before we were losing real bad. This is just what they do. And so I'm looking forward to that matchup. It's time for us to get back to beating them, like we did, a couple of times back to back when Tony Romo was there. It's time for us to attack Dak. And so that's the game I'm looking forward to. And I guess another close game would be Atlanta. Since I live here, I want to sweep them because I'm sick of folks I work with, rubbing it in my face about how bad the Panthers look.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So I'm gonna take these next few minutes to talk about my team. It's not pro either. Daniel Jones, look, I like Daniel Jones. He seems like a good person and everything. And, maybe he can be a good quarterback in the future for another team, hopefully. It's not about him and his $160 million contract. It's the way it was handled to me. Showing he had the ball come to the Giants. And they're told the only way you get this job is if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. So they're already shutting him down for any other options that they could maybe bring another quarterback with them or sign another quarterback. They're told right off of the rip, we're not going to allow you to do your job, basically, right? We're telling you that Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Then in the draft, they don't draft a quarterback. So they don't want competition for Daniel Jones, I guess, at quarterback, because I guess he can't handle it. So to me, again, the owners have the influence on this. You hear Phil Simms and Eli Manning, 2 Super Bowl quarterbacks, saying Daniel Jones is good. He's going to be good. When did they get involved in the Giants organization? When are we listening to 2 former quarterbacks about who should be playing quarterback? I don't get the whole thing. I think they kind of tied their hands. They're still kind of tying their hands. You hire these guys for a reason. Let them do their job. If I took Jack, right? And I got to use Jack here. I'm the owner of a great restaurant, a legendary restaurant. People come from everywhere to see. I hire Jack as my manager. I say, listen, I don't care what you think, but the chef there, no matter if he's good or bad, he's going to be your chef. Jack is like, what are you talking about? Why are you hiring me? Why would you do that? And not only that, Jack, you can't get another chef to replace him. I don't care how bad he is or if he's not available, he calls in sick. He's whatever the case may be. The Giants ownership, Mara and Tisch, have done a terrible job handling this Daniel Jones situation. And from my perspective, I don't get it. I just don't get it. So, Anthony, we're going to shock the world this year. Yeah.
Well, Eli Manning is an old Miss guy like Daniel Jones, so they kind of have that bond, and even though Daniel Jones ultimately replaced Eli Manning, they apparently had a good relationship. And Phil Simms is normally very complimentary. He's normally not a critical type of guy when it comes to quarterbacks. They look for the best in them. What I'm interested, 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. And I'm trying to figure out who's not going to be a good quarterback in the NFL amongst the 6. I mean, what are the odds? The odds are only 2 are really going to be good. But is it possible all 6 are really going to be good? I mean, you never know. And then it would be a historic draft. But I'm trying to figure out who are going to be the good ones and who are not, who are going to be so-so. And I'm going back and forth. I'm a little higher now on Jayden Daniels than I was before. Caleb Williams, you kind of wonder whether he could be another Jameis Winston, who was a number 1 overall draft choice. And you wonder Drake May, he's a little iffy because you keep hearing he needs all this time. If he is so far from being ready, Drake May, you kind of wonder, is he ever really going to be fully ready? And then there's Bo Nix. Maybe he'll surprise us. And McCarthy, who I'm not crazy about. So we'll see.
We'll see. Good morning to Philly Sports Guy Pags. Thanks for coming in this morning. Pleasure having you we have you every Sunday in here, and we'll talk a little Philly news. And as you just heard Jack say, he's not sure who will be good. I mean, it's not just the quarterback. It's what team they end up with. It's who's the coaching staff. I mean, there's so many variables. I mean, it's hard for any quarterback being taken high to do good. Pags.
I think they're all going to stink. Just my opinion. Some will be better than others, but I don't think any one of them. I think when we look back 10 years from now, none of these 6 are going to win a Super Bowl. And if that should be the ultimate, measuring stick. Who's going to win a Super Bowl?
The question I have for you is, are they actually going to be their franchise quarterbacks? Are they going to make that change in the team to at least get them to the playoffs?
Chicago named Caleb Williams as their starter already. Are you kidding me? All right, let's draft him first. Let's give him the keys to the franchise, and let's hope that he's going to be everything that we want him to be. There was nothing that I've seen of his play when looking at some of the tapes that makes me think that he's LeBron James. When you anoint somebody king, he better be kingly. And I don't see that with him. Just my opinion.
James disagrees with you completely. I could tell because that's his guy, Caleb Williams. He thinks he's going to be a stud. Right.
I do disagree. I don't know about Caleb Williams, but I disagree with the take regarding measuring the Super Bowl. I mean, if that's the case, we're going off that logic. Disrespectfully, respectfully, I have to say, like, well, Dan Marino was not a good quarterback. I mean, he didn't go to he went to the Super Bowl once. I mean, but he had a great career. But he was still, he went to the Hall of Fame first ballot. I'm not saying that you should say that these guys won't be good. I could see why, when you go to bad teams like Max said.
And let's think about what you just said. You, out of the 60 years of their big Super Bowls, you chose the one quarterback who went over and above every record and everything else and didn't win a Super Bowl. Name
Frank Tarkenton, Jim Kelly.
Again, he went to 4 Super Bowls.
But they didn't win. They didn't win.
Jim Kelly. But they went to Super Bowls. You're actually, fighting my argument for me.
Well, no, I'm just saying he's a great quarterback. Who knew that these guys would be? These guys were great in college, but they didn't go on to win any Super Bowls. They went to them, but these guys that we're talking about now, they had some levels of success in college. We just don't know where they're going to be 10 years from now. Like you said, let's. I guess we can wait until 10 years. I respectfully disagree to say that they won't be good. I just don't know. I don't know if these guys won't be good or not.
Neither do I. This is just a take on what I've seen from these players now. Again, we could go 5 years into the future, and I might look foolish by that statement. You know what I mean? But I feel that out of these 6, the last time there was this monstrous group of quarterbacks that came out that they were expecting everybody to be really good, I don't remember really any of them. You know what I mean? In fact, they all kind of fell off. And then the following year, when there was only like 2 or 3 quarterbacks, those quarterbacks went to more Super Bowls than the other 6 combined. You know what I mean? So, I just feel that there's too much hype on these guys. And I think that the hype got bought into by NFL teams.
I think a few years ago, Pax, the closest in modern times would be Baker Mayfield going number 1, Sam Darnold going number 3, Josh Allen, I think number 9 or something like that, and Josh Rosen number 11. Josh Rosen is out of the league, but Josh Allen is a star. He is a legitimate star, and Baker Mayfield has had a decent career, all in all. If you look at it, 6 years in the league, and he is a starting quarterback now. It hasn't, and the reason the Browns moved on from him only because they thought they could do a little better with Deshaun Watson. They thought they were getting one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Deshaun Watson. So Baker Mayfield has been more successful than not. Sorry, Sony, even though he didn't stick with Carolina. So it's hit and miss. And Sam Darnold's story might not be over. It hasn't quite worked out, but technically he started in Minnesota. He's not going to hold on to the job there because they drafted J.J. McCarthy. He won't hold on to it beyond this year, I don't think. But he could have a good year, and he could wind up starting somewhere else next year.
I heard he was going back to the Jets. I heard the Jets are going to trade for him.
Yeah, Jets will definitely.
No, he needed. What about Mac? Your words are contradictory because you just said with Daniel Jones, he could maybe be a good starting quarterback somewhere else. His situation's the same as Sam Darnold. When the Giants move on from Daniel Jones, maybe he'll land somewhere else. We don't know. I don't think so, but he has enough ability that he might be able to in the right situation.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying that maybe's a big word, right? Maybe he ends up in Carolina and knocks Bryce Young out of it.
We don't want him.
Oh yeah, Daniel Jones to Carolina. That would be. We don't want
him. I'm surprised the Giants still have Daniel Jones. Seriously.
So am I. So. Anyway, let's do some Philly sports here. under head coach Sirianni, not known for their practice. I guess Sirianni is not a big practice guy, following Allen Iverson, famous words, practice. But anyway, he wasn't a big practice guy. So they hire Fangio. Part of his agreement was for him to come over there, they would have to practice more. And the Eagles are going to practice more. It's going to be more intense than it was last year, and a little old school stuff there. And I think maybe the Eagles need that. I think they need a little old school coaching in there to make them work a little bit harder than they did last year. The offensive coordinator, Moore and Sirianni, are going to work together to get a offensive game plan together. So. Pags, it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be easy for that coaching staff and the players, to get together. I mean, I think that's something that has to be worked on. I think relationships are going to have to be built there. And if you're going from, not practicing really hard to practicing hard, you might have some disgruntled players. I don't know.
Aren't you insulted, Pags? He said your team is lazy. Basically, that's what Mac was saying they didn't work hard last year. They didn't have a game plan. Don't you take offense to that, Pags?
I don't think he said anything like that. I mean, it's like what he said is like somebody saying to you, "Hey, I like your hair." So, it's
they said it.
realistically, I mean, this was all stuff that needed to have happened in the first place. Let's make it come to fruition. Let's see what happens on the field. I'm tired of talking about, hey, what things could happen, where we could wind up being. What's our record going to be now? Let's show that we were supposed to be in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and by getting back there again. We have the talent on the team. We just got to make sure we put it all together. And I think that's now it's time to put up and shut up. Let's put it up and just let us play out the string. Obviously injuries could happen. This is football. There's lots of different things. I mean, it took them forever to finally get the script together. You know what I mean? So literally it was like, they took forever. I got my script right here. And they sent it to me. And what it says is that the Jets are still going to stink. And Rodgers is not going to be the savior there. I read it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Jason is watching today. He made his comment, his opinion well known. The Eagles will fold like a cheap suit. And he told you to go get
a lawn chair.
Mac, you asked a really good question earlier, and I didn't have the answer. I wasn't on top of my game. I wasn't sharp. What is one of the big storylines in the NFL this year? To me, it's this. We saw the Knicks fans take over Philadelphia, the arena, when they played the Sixers. Will the Giant fans now be emboldened by that? Will they take over the stadium when the Giants go visit the Eagles?
They know better. The Giants fans are afraid to come to Philadelphia. They know better. But go ahead. Go ahead and ask your question.
I think Jack asked you that last week, the same question, maybe a little bit differently, but I think he asked the same question. Jess, it happens as you get older. I'm definitely not afraid to go to Philadelphia and wear my Giants stuff anyway.
You would not. You'd wear your Giants stuff.
Why not? What is to be scared of? I think they appreciate loyal fans. They may give me a little harassment, but that's you're supposed to do that. That's all fun. Probably end up with Pags at the bar, drinking at Eagles bar and celebrating the Giants win. But anyway, the Eagles owner and the GM working together. They've really put it all on the line this year, Pags, to try to get this team back. We talked about hiring a coaching staff. Their draft selections, their off-season moves, getting Saquon Barkley as a weapon that they didn't have last year. So listen, the front office is doing everything it can to get the Eagles back to the top. You got to appreciate what the work they do there.
Hey, we went into the draft with 8 picks. We wound up with 9 guys and 3 picks next year. I think that shows us pretty good.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
wound
I
up the
agree.
2 best corners in the draft, and and a feel-good story with Jeremiah Trotter. Everybody loves to say, "Hey, I love that Jeremiah Trotter pick." I'm like, I hope he makes the team.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, I think that the draft is definitely Howie's season, as they call it here, because there's not many GMs that are able to do the things that he's able to do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Pags. Max said yesterday, and now I'm not sure how accurate it is, that Jason Kelsey has been hanging around the Eagles facility a lot. And I said, if that's true, that means he's coming back. He's not just going to hang out to socialize with the guys. The urge to play again is going to be too great. Have you heard any rumors as far as that goes?
Nope. He wants to be a part. He doesn't want to leave football. That's I think that's apparent. And I don't think he wants to play anymore. He may decide if there's an injury to that offensive line, he may decide to play. But it's a lot of ifs and maybes. I think he wants to keep himself in shape. I think he's trying to, it's like quitting smoking. You could quit cold turkey, or you could try to wean yourself off. He's weaning himself off.
I agree, Pags. I mean, everybody you talk to in any sport, really, when they do finally, hang it up, especially in football, you miss the locker room, you miss the guys, you miss hanging out with the guys. And I think that's basically what he's doing right now. He's going on to commentate on Monday Night Football. That'll be his job. But right now, I mean, that was his home for how many years? 13, 16 years or something like that. It happens a lot. It happens a lot to a lot of former players.
Yeah, I mean, it was 13 years, and like I said, it's his home. He feels comfortable there, and I think that when you are in the midst of changing your life, when you go and make decisions, you want to feel as comfortable as possible.
I agree.
And I think that that's where he's at. I think that he is very comfortable there, and he's choosing to use that as the springboard for the rest of it. Not everybody's excited for the first day of the rest of their life.
He lives in Philly, correct? And that's where he's settling, apparently going to live there going forward. He could become mayor of Philly if he wanted to, couldn't he? Is he that popular?
Probably. He lives in Delaware County. He lives not far from me in Haverford.
All right. James, go ahead, James.
I want to ask Pags about his team. I think they're physically the most talented team in that division. Do you think they have what it takes with the new coaching to win the division again and go far in the playoffs?
My biggest nervousness is Kellen Winslow. For whatever reason, and take away every bit of talent, every bit of everything. Eagles that go to Dallas and Cowboys that come to Philadelphia don't work out very often. In fact, I can't even think of one that has worked out. And you could say he came from the Chargers. You could say all these other things. Truth of the matter is that when I think of Kellen Winslow, I think of him as a Cowboy. And he's got to prove a lot to get over that stigma. And that's what I'm most concerned about. I feel like last year, in the midst of everything else, that you had 3 players coaches in both coordinators and the head coach, and it didn't work out. Now you've got Vic Fangio, who is definitely not a player's coach. He's definitely organization, mindset. So I like that a little bit, especially because the defense stunk last year. When you're letting up 40 points a game, you want to get out of there. It's like when you have what was it? Drew Lock looked like Joe Montana. You want to change the defense. So I am excited to see that part, but it's a lot of new pieces on that defense, which means that they're going to take a minute to get themselves together, which means the offense has got to carry this team the first 4 to 6 weeks. And that's going to be a tough bagged a burden for both the head coach and this new offensive coordinator to make sure that they can come out of that first 6 games. I mean, the first game is against a team that went to the NFC Championship. Or not great. Well, I mean, they could have. I mean, I guess they lost to Detroit, but they were 2 rounds of the playoffs. You know what I mean? They went further than the Eagles, and they're young and spunky. You know what I mean? So it's possible that they could, be an upset in Brazil. And we start this off out of the country and with the loss. You can't let that happen. Yeah. You have to be very in tune with what's going on and be able to get this, take the ball and start running right away, specifically on the offense.
And Pags using the spunky adjective, I haven't heard that used in a while. So good for Pags on that. Mac, it was suggested that maybe you said something about the Eagles and you were not afraid of Pags. And, of course, that's Jason stirring up the pot, as he always does. No, I am not afraid of Pags. Pags gives me no reason to be afraid of him. And I probably have said something about the Eagles. They're our rivals. And so there you go. That's the end of that. So thank you for your concern. Jason, I also found out that the Phillies will be playing on the Roku channel as part of their streaming deal with them. I don't think they'll be on our Roku channel. I think it's MLB. But Pags, I want you to talk to the Phillies management and see if you can set something up and maybe get them to come to our Roku channel if you could work on that.
Yeah, I'm on it. All right. Yeah, they just got a hold of me. We need $10 million.
That's it. All right.
$10 million.
All right. So, at least we'll have.
At least we know the numbers.
Yes. And we'll work that. We'll have our guys call their guys and see if we could get it down a little bit lower than that. We haven't talked about MLB that much yet. Of course, Ohtani. The drama is still in the news. They're going to do a series. Hollywood's going to do a series on Ohtani's story. With his interpreter.
Let's make up the whole story and put it on network television so that everybody has no idea what really happened.
Yes,
I love it.
Exactly. So they're going to do this, and of course, it's about the betrayal of Ohtani by his interpreter friend. And of course, I didn't know that the interpreter, I forget his name, Asuraka or something like that, was actually giving the money to his friend who is on the Real Housewives of Orange County, right? Yep. And so his husband is now, he's cooperating with the investigators on immunity, so he doesn't get in trouble. So there's a lot of tentacles to this story that we're not aware of, and I think Sonia's all over this. So I want to get Sonia in here and her opinion about what the hell's going on with this.
So this almost sounds like the situation with Teresa Giudice's ex-husband on the Housewives up there. One of those Northeasterners Housewives, Orange County. I don't know. I don't follow them too much. I follow the ones here in Atlanta though. But I do know that it sounds so familiar, like with that situation. Ohtani's interpreter's pleading guilty, but just like you said, there's so many tentacles because apparently he had some gambling debts with this person, and maybe this is how this is becoming, a reality network, whatever, because of the tentacles that it has already. But we have literally given this so much energy, and the fact is, this dude did whatever he did, or he was accused of doing. He's pleading in the story. I don't know how they're making this into a network dramatization now, because they're not just going to make it about the gambling. They're probably going to put some other stuff in there that, perhaps he was here illegally. Like, it's just going to be so much other stuff in there to try to spark the interest of the viewer beyond just the fact that what we're supposed to know. But like Pag said, it's going to be so sensationalized that it's going to be so far removed from what factually happened. And it's so soon. Most of the time when people are accused of criminal offenses, it's years before documentaries or things actually make it to TV, except for Alex Murdaugh. Now that made it like within a year because it was so much going on
I
in
just
the
got the
low
script.
country.
I just got the script, and it says that nowhere did Otani bet at all. So they said nope. He wasn't even. He didn't even know how to gamble. He had to ask what a
Starring
parlay
Pag.
was.
Starring Pags, the Philly sports guy,
Yes, yes,
making his acting debut.
yes. But there's going to be tons of views. There's going to be the conspiracy theorists are going to be out in force, and this story will not go away this year. This is the biggest gambling. Biggest gambling situation since Pete Rose.
I don't think we're thinking about it that much, Mac. I think the window's basically closed. Maybe the documentary is going to open it up again to an extent, but unless a little evidence starts to surface that he indirectly knew about the betting, at least, I don't think it's much of a story anymore.
I kind of want to segue. I want to segue on that for just a second. We look at how gambling is across like everything, not just big money gambling, but everybody's putting prop bets on everything because it's so, advertised. Like, Terry Bradshaw's money and DraftKings and all this stuff that are actually supporting the sport. But we even see it coming into the league with Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels, who bet $10,000 on who would be the rookie of the year. Now they said they dialed it back. That's what they said. But I don't know if they really dialed it back or not. But these guys are just coming into the league, and all they're already seeing is the same thing that the league is supposedly be against.
Listen, I agree. I mean, when you have and there's different ways to bet now. You don't just bet on the wins and losses and the spreads. How many touchdowns will this guy get? How many sacks will this guy get? How many penalty calls will this get?
I was reached out by a site that said that I could bet on whether they'll find out if Otani actually made a bet.
Oh, wow.
You could actually gamble on that. And
Yes.
you can gamble on everything. Like, hey, is Russia going to nuke Ukraine? I mean, they have gambling sites now that deal with normal life rather than everything just sports related.
It's like
It's
Rat
getting
Race,
ridiculous.
that movie Rat Race.
So
Yes.
Y'all
it's
saw
getting
that.
ridiculous.
Yes, I
Guys,
never saw.
Mac, let me just ask one topic. I don't know where you're going to bring it up. I get a feeling you weren't. The Tom Brady roast. It
Yes.
made me think about roasts in general. Should it take place? I mean, a roast can be a lot of fun depending on the questions being asked, but when it gets to really be personal, with Brady supposed to be there smiling and laughing, but I don't
You want to
care
know
for
why
it.
he was smiling and laughing? Because he got paid $25 million. I'd smile and laugh. Hey, you can roast the hell out of me. You can
When
say
he got
whatever
up
you
and
want
told
about
him-
my family,
He
my
got up and
girlfriend.
told, when they made a joke about Robert Kraft getting a massage, he got up and told Ross, that comedian, don't say that S again. He literally said it. Like,
Yeah.
but they
Well-
talked about Giselle the whole time. It was horrible. And she was
Well-
offended, supposedly.
Well, that was they
Because
knew.
she didn't get any money.
They knew
Right.
ahead of time.
Oh,
It was rehearsed ahead of time.
Tax thing. So
He
Giselle
knew-
got
he
a
knew-
cut of the pie.
He knew Ross. He knew
Well,
Ross
Brady.
was going to say that. That was discussed ahead of time. From what I understand, they go over this before that. And Brady did say no jokes about Kraft, but this was intended to be. In fact, from what I saw, they were kind of laughing about it when he went over there and told him, hey, don't do that. So I think that was
I saw
planned.
Belichick showing his teeth when it first came on, but you never see his teeth. So he was
Yes,
all
yes.
smiles.
Yes, yes.
In the history of roast, they've always been just some of the worst things you've heard, but they're funny. I don't get. We're in this society now where things are just changing. Where I mean, it's. They, like you said, they rehearsed it. This is what's going to happen. I mean, and like Pag said, they paid him, which I didn't even know, $25 million. Come on, man.
$5 million.
Well,
That's
even though
crazy.
it's a roast, they made a comment about Aaron Hernandez. To me, that was not Tom Brady affiliated. It was way too far. To me, there are certain things that should never be aired because people struggle with those things seriously,
Oh,
and
come
we should
on,
be
son.
empathetic.
Come on,
He
Sonia. Come
he said he went to hell, and Aaron Hernandez said hello, and then they
on.
talked about having rings around his neck from where he hung himself. That was too far.
Well, that is, I didn't hear that. But I mean,
I
listen,
didn't hear the hanging part. Yeah,
Nah,
No,
that's
no,
true.
certain things are funny, like the beginning of the show with Belichick and Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
You know what, the way he said, "Oh, we're replacing your Drew," or something
Yeah.
to the effect. Okay, that's funny. Even though it had to sting Bledsoe still a tiny bit, he
Yeah.
could laugh about it because of how great Brady was, and it turned out to be the good move.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you're
But, you know-
facing your coach who basically cut you for the most part. So.
it's not just Tom Brady. They have roasts from what I was reading for all the teams. So it's not just singularly for the Patriots and Tom Brady. Every team does it. The Giants, the Eagles, probably Carolina. That would be very easy.
I mean, I'd be willing to bet that the next roast that you hear about is going to be Jason Kelsey. It worked so
Yeah.
well. It worked so well that you're going to start to see roasts of like Shaquille O'Neal, who's done a roast before,
Yeah.
Charles Barkley. You're going to see some of these bigger names come up and get roasted by Netflix now because they made so much money. Everybody is still talking about it.
Yeah.
So yes,
Well, Jack,
you're going to. And the one thing I did like about it, and I haven't even watched it, but the one thing I did like about it is that the comedians did go over the line. And that's what comedy's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be making fun of real situations and going over the line. Yes, that's what makes it comedy. That's what makes you go, ooh. Hey, listen, there's too much cancel culture out there. And we
Yeah.
can go ahead and dismiss whatever we want to because we don't want to. We don't want to hear about it. So we're going to just dismiss it and we're going to cancel it. It doesn't make it go away.
Yeah.
So I
Have
like the
y'all
fact
ever
that
heard of Don Rickles and Richard Pryor and George Carlin? All these?
Thank
So I've seen some of those roasts, man. You'd be like,
Yeah.
if today they were saying some of the things that they said back then, today, man, they'd be annihilated.
But some of it, they say comedians use comedy to cover pain, to deal with pain. And trust me, I get that. But to me, the only thing that was really real that was good was when they said Tom Brady really has 8 rings and not 7 because Giselle gave hers back to him. I like that. Well, that's real. And that was good. But I just feel like for me, the Aaron Hernandez situation was not Tom Brady related. That's why it was not I know they played on the same team, but it was not connected. The roast was
Sonia,
about Tom.
when you are at a roast, everybody in that room,
Yeah.
and whether anybody who's been tied to anybody in that room is fair game, and that's what happens. That's the way it goes. So there's no doubt in my mind that was planned. And listen, the truth of the matter is that had he been a good guy, they wouldn't have been able to do anything in that roast.
Yeah.
So
Well, he wasn't
it
a bad guy just because he had a couple of relationships that
What?
didn't work
What?
out. It
He
doesn't make
killed
him.
somebody. He killed
No, I
somebody.
think-
No, he was a
about
bad
Tom
guy.
Brady. No, I meant Tom Brady.
no,
I
he's
meant
talking
the
about-
roast
he's
of
talking about
Tom
Brady.
Brady.
But
Tom
but
Brady
guys,
did say his kids had to be off limits with the jokes beforehand. That was
but
one
guys,
of the conditions.
but guys, I mean, this is a big circle. They used to have the Dean Martin roast. We used to sit there and watch it every night, as you said, with Don Rickles and some of the other comedians there. They used to be on every week. So, I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny. One of the lines I remember on the Dean Martin, they were roasting Dean Martin, and Floyd Patterson, former heavyweight champion, came out there. And then Dean Martin said, "You come with me backstage after the show and I'll show you a real championship belt." I had to do with Martin's drinking and Patterson holding the belt. Stuff like that is funny. That kind of makes a roast. But when it digs deeply into someone's personal life, hurtful things, like the Robert Kraft thing, I agree with Brady. That had to be off limits. But digging Brady about
Absolutely not. Absolutely
I
not.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's
okay.
funny.
I give it. You win that point.
It's
I
funny.
can
It's funny.
understand. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, not only that, but I mean, I love the fact that was high level gamesmanship. That was gamesmanship between owners. I mean, we talked about this on this show about. I said the whole timeline of what occurred between the Patriots and the Dolphins ownership. That him getting busted for those massages was absolutely planned by the Dolphins ownership.
Wow.
I went through the whole timeline. Remember? You guys remember that? I don't know if I can find that timeline, but I know it was like bam, 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 bam. And
I do remember. I do remember.
We got
Pat.
time. We can you find it and we can hear it today because I didn't hear it. We got time today.
I have to find that book. I have it written down because it showed the entire timeline, and it was gamesmanship of another level. Like that was ownership gamesmanship because of course he's in Miami, and this is where he gets busted. Do you know how hard it is to have a bust happen at a very specific time when there's somebody in there specifically? You got to be sitting there and wait for that.
And
to
in
happen.
Miami, like Party City, yeah, they were waiting.
Well,
Exactly.
Let's talk a little about Daniel Snyder. He's back in the news again, right? So, in an effort to kind of repair his what do you want to say, his reputation or his public image, he decided that he's going to sell his mansion and give the money to the Cancer Society. Of course, by doing this, I don't know what the percentage is. It's not the total amount of money, but by doing this, he's also talking. He has a small percentage left in the Washington Commanders Redskins team. He's going to sell that. And of course, he'll get a lot of money back from that. So here's the rich getting richer. I don't know if this helps him at all. I mean, it's hard to, make disappear of all the things that happened during his time as owner. But
yeah, I heard to better his image, he was going to get together with the old Clippers owner.
Yes,
and they were going to start a documentary about that.
Yes, I heard that too. I heard that was next on the agenda. Pax, NHL, Rangers lose their first game.
I'm going to duck out, Mac. Yeah.
Okay.
Go. Okay.
Take care.
Have a good week, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Have a good one.
So there you go, Jack Hirsch. If we're talking about hockey, he's out here. But anyway, the NHL Rangers lose their first game. They won 7 in a row. I still think that they're on a track to be the Stanley Cup for their side of the conference. Anyway, Pax, Vegas gets knocked out. I know you were talking about them last week. So what are your thoughts on the NHL playoffs so far?
Rangers look really good. Obviously, winning 2 overtime games. I think if you look at the way the NHL works, I really thought Carolina was going to win that game. The Rangers took a bad penalty at the end of the game, and they scored that power play goal. I mean, it's been a physical series. The Rangers have been very intimidating. It's going to be interesting to see how they face up against Florida, because I think Florida comes out of that series as well with Boston. That first game, Boston kind of took, but I think Florida is the better team, and they have the better goalie, and that's going to be a tough one on that side. I think that Dallas and Colorado are about to link up. I think that that's going to be a really I think the winner of either one of those guys. I just don't think Vancouver's got enough on that side, or Edmonton. Really, I think Edmonton's got good goalie, but that's about it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I like the Rangers. I'm a big fan of Zibanejad. I love when good hockey is being played, and right now the Rangers are playing good hockey. And not only are they playing good hockey, but they're leaving that oaf Lempe on the bench. Obviously he's on the team, but he's getting maybe 5-6 minutes a game. So it's not like they're bullying guys. They are just straight out beating them. And I think that as long as Shesterkin stays strong, they have a really good shot.
Well, a couple of points.
As long as you keep having miscues by the Rangers, Panarin, I still feel like the Hurricanes have a solid chance. I'm rooting for my home team.
Yeah, there's been 2 teams ever Flyers being one of them against Boston that have come back from 0-3 deficits to win.
Yeah,
So it's not
the
impossible.
3-1.
But I think that once they get back to New York and they get back into the Garden, I think the Garden's just going to prove to be too much for them.
Yeah.
When the moment that they talked about having, I mean, and I'm a monster Rod Brindamore fan, but when I heard that he was possibly leaving the team, I was like, uh-oh, there's problems now. There's problems. You can't have the possibility of your coach going somewhere else right when you're in the middle of a playoff run.
That was crazy. I couldn't believe they even like announced that. I was like, what is talk about the timing? And I saw that, I was like, this can't be real. Like, they are literally fighting for their lives at this point. And then you throw that bomb on there. It's just like, it's a defeat. I was really disappointed in that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I love Rod Brindamore. If he gets let go, I want Flyers to get rid of Torts and go pick him up right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A couple points, Pags. I saw that, the penalty the Rangers got, he kind of tried to trip him with his stick when he was going to the goal. We got a penalty that way. Is that just a reaction? Or you think is he just beaten? He's trying to, he'd rather get the penalty than give up an easy goal, maybe?
So it's so odd how that all works out. Truth of the matter is that it's caused by the offensive guy going and actually pushing through, and you have your stick out there, and what happens is as the offensive guy is pushing through, he steps on the stick and it's a tripping penalty. So it's not really a trip in the real sense of things. It's actually caused by the offensive guy. So I know when I watched it the other day when it was in overtime, and he got tripped. It was who was the guy? The guy who wound up scoring the goal was
Right.
the one that got tripped, and that was all done because of hustle. And that's what occurs. The defenseman is naturally going to be a little bit slower than the guy who's on offense. So he's got to have his stick out there, and his stick is used as kind of like a blocker, part of the wall. And when you can get around him and then you step on that stick and you trip, that's a trip. And it's nothing that the defenseman is even going to be able to do to stop it.
All right. So the Bruins, they're playing. Who the Bruins up? I forget who they're playing real quick.
Panthers.
The Panthers. The referee said they're going to kind of clamp down because of the excess fighting that happened. I'm all for fights in hockey, but when it starts getting in the way of the game itself, I guess they kind of reel it in a little bit more.
Yeah, to be honest, it's really the only way. Like Boston is more imposing. They're going to try to play bully ball, and Florida just isn't going to take it. You know what I mean? It's going to be the same way against the Rangers. There's a reason why that trophy, the Stanley Cup, is the most coveted trophy in all of sports. It's the hardest trophy to attain. And when you have a 7-game series against two teams that have equal strength on both teams, I'm not a big fan of the goaltender for Boston. I think that Jeremy Swayman, is too soft to be a playoff goaltender. So I think that's why I think Florida is going to win it. But I think Boston knows that too, and they have to impose their will on Florida, and Florida's not taking it, which is why you're seeing all the chippiness. And the referees are going to start calling more ticky-tack stuff to keep it down.
Yeah, I honestly, I have never seen, not for a long time. I followed hockey way back when, not as much now. But there's been more fights, and the refs have allowed more fights in a game. The whole damn teams were fighting each other in one game there. They all threw down their gloves. Is that part of the reason? Maybe the NHL, especially in the playoffs, saying, "Hey, we can't have that happening now."
I think that. Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the NHL needs more of it. I mean, for instance, you think back when the Flyers and the Rangers played, and you think back to that one fight where it was like old-time hockey, an old-time fight where the referees knew the fight was going to happen. They made sure to give them the wide space, and let them fight. And it was national news that there was an old-time fight. They're removing some of the grit from hockey a little bit. And in the playoffs, that grit comes back. And most times the referees' whistles are in their pockets. And sometimes, like we said, when you have these two teams, when you have one team trying to impose their will on another team, it will sometimes work out into a monster fight. And that's what's happening between Boston and Florida. These teams don't like one another. And, they're fighting for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate prize. So, I could, like I said, if it starts to interfere with the game too much, they got to do something. So I think that's what they're doing right now. We'll talk a little boxing, even though Jack isn't here since he checked out a little earlier. George Kambosos loses to Lomachenko. Lomachenko hit him with a couple body shots. You don't see that a lot. I mean, normally it's a headshot, but he hit Kambosos with a couple body shots. The last one, taking him out, they called the fight. Lomachenko has been one of those boxers that's been involved in the Ukrainian war. He even took time off to go fight in the war. And, he came back and of course, there's been some talk back between him and the Russian fighters, the Klitschko brothers and stuff like that, and some bad feelings there. But anyway, he comes back, wins the title, and Kambosos loses the third time, I think, in 3 fights. Kambosos is really not a top contender anymore. I don't know if any of you guys watched the fight at all, but it was a pretty devastating shots that he took. And
I did not watch the fight, but I wish Jack was here because I have been in contact with Sonny Conto, who is the heavyweight who's undefeated. And I spoke to somebody very close to him and put my feeler out there to put my hat in the ring to possibly be a manager / promoter of one of his fights coming up.
That would be cool.
Wow,
as I was talking about how I thought that boxing needs a new Don King, well, the only person I know of that can talk like Don King and act like Don King somewhat and has some weak, freaky hair like him is me. So, I mean, I would definitely need Jack's help with that because obviously I don't know anything about the boxing world, but I do know that that Sonny Conto has got a shot. Maybe he's still a little green, I would think, because he's only 11-0 with 10 knockouts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. 11-0 with 10 knockouts is pretty good to start. And I'd need like maybe a couple of fights to get up there before we get the title chance. But I think maybe with a loud voice on his side, talking good smack, we might get it.
Hey, listen, careers have started under stranger circumstances, Bags, right? So you never know. Bags might be a promoter, and and you get one boxer, maybe you get another, Bags. Who knows? I mean, if you want to dream big, right? That's what I say.
Hey, listen, they just got to be from Philly. We're always talking about the Philly guys being good. He keeps mentioning that one guy that I don't even know his name, and that he's a Philly guy, and that I want, the problem is that nobody knows his name because I don't know his name. And if I knew his name and I started promoting him, everybody would know his name.
Yeah, he's not a great interview either. He's kind of soft spoken too. I mean, and they listen. Boots Ennis. Nobody wants to fight this guy, Bags. You had Spence, who decided he didn't want to fight him. They got a second, number 2 rated southpaw. I forget his name right now. He doesn't want to fight him. So nobody wants to fight this kid.
And he's soft-spoken. That's perfect for me. I want somebody to just not say a word. Let me do the talking. Let me run. Let me be the smack talk. You back it up in the ring, because I'm not a boxer. I can't tell you anything about it. I'm not going to be able to manage him in the ring. I'm not going to be, hey, just hit him. I don't know. It's like I'm not that guy. But I am the guy that's going to be able to promote him. And if he's quiet, that's even better, because I can go ahead and get away with just about anything. And he's just going to be like, and that's it. Everybody's afraid of him? Perfect.
Pags, I can see Pags now. This is what you got to do, Pags. Find out where they train, right? Find out where Kanto and Ennis train. Get a big cigar, walk in there, bigger than life, and tell them you're here to take them to the top. You know what I mean?
I'd have to be already painted up. I got to be painted up in their colors. I'd just be like, hey, I am here now.
Right.
Come with me.
There you go. There you go. There you go. I mean, listen, it's possible. Stranger things have happened.
People already know Pag, so he's already a familiar face, so he could definitely pull it off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, and it's a world that I know nothing about. And listen, that's why I would need Jack's expertise, because I don't want to go walking in there just to get chewed up and spit back out again. You know what I mean? I'd need some inside intel to be able to make that all occur. But I may be throwing my hat in the ring. That's kind of why it was. I was waiting on this. I was hoping he didn't leave. I was like, oh man, now I got to wait till next.
Well, you got to get in contact with him. That's all. And I heard Frank Lotierzo is just not taking your calls anymore, Bags. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what it is. Maybe I'll show up tomorrow. Just happen to come in. Be like, hey.
Talks to me. Frank talks to me.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, Frank's
a little punchy. Frank's a little punchy sometimes.
Frank will talk to anybody that doesn't disagree with him. You know, and if you don't disagree with him, he likes you. I mean, me and Jack get away with it because you know we do the show together pretty much at JB talking. At Glove Fist. But yeah, Frank is pretty much the loudest voice in the room when he can be. I like the way he pauses when he talks. You know?
Yeah, he does.
Anyway, so Tyson Fury is slimmed down, and he's getting ready to fight Usyk, who is a better technical fighter than him by far. Tyson Fury does have a reach advantage. His chin isn't the best. Usyk does have power even at his weight. I think he's 210. I think Tyson Fury, well, he slimmed down, but I know he was up to 260. So if he's taking 20 pounds off, he's about 240. Doesn't really matter in the heavyweight division, I don't think. Power is power, and I would pick Usyk to win this fight, even though Fury is a skilled boxer, especially going away, he can hit you, and he does have a little bit of power himself. But I'd definitely go with Usyk, just for his technical expertise. I don't know if any of you guys.
Isn't it such a shame that fight should be such a monster fight? Yes. It should be such a monster fight. But again, I keep thinking more about who's going to win the fight between Tyson and Paul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That Usyk Fury should overshadow that fight by millions and millions of dollars. This is why they need somebody like me in boxing.
Well, I'm
dead serious.
They do. His name is Jake Paul. He's got an unbelievable YouTube following, and every day he's pounding, trying to pound on Tyson with, somebody's going to die here and all this other nonsense. I really do hope Tyson catches him and shuts his mouth up for a while. That would be great to me. But hey, Jake Paul.
The fact that they sanctioned this fight, I think, is great for a lot of reasons. This is opening up the door for the I would call it like the veterans division, where you're going to have 50-year-olds coming back into boxing. Like, I would not be surprised to see George Foreman come out of retirement into what would be considered this new veterans division. I know that Tyson's been working on this for a little while. We had that fight with Ray Jones Jr. I think that this is going to really start to spawn that.
Evander Holyfield too.
Yeah, but some of these fighters are, if you listen to them talk, Tyson isn't that bad. Holyfield is. Holyfield has a problem putting a sentence together. I'd be as scared to see him.
Holyfield always had a problem putting it.
Well, that might be.
So it's not like that was something. I don't think that it's due to punchiness. I think that it has to do with the fact that his upbringing and the way that he talked in general. I think that's part of what's up with Evander Holyfield. That guy is still in great shape. And not only that, like, I would think about Herschel Walker Herschel Walker and Evander Holyfield having a boxing match would be amazing. They could get 2 words out to each other, but they would be an amazing fight.
I don't think so. I think Herschel Walker would kill him. Herschel Walker, a former MMA champion, 5th degree black belt in karate. The dude still can do like 1,000 push-ups.
Well, yeah, but he's got a box. It's a boxing match. It's all that stuff that goes out the window a little bit. So I mean, I think it would be an entertaining bout. And now that they started to sanction 2-minute rounds.
I think so too. But normally, when a boxer and MMA fight, it's normally by MMA rules when they do that. Listen, I don't know if it's a good idea, Pags. I mean, who would want to watch? I don't think I would want to watch right now in their old age, Foreman fighting whomever. I really wouldn't want to watch that. I mean, and if they're going to fight younger guys, really real boxers, not Jake Paul, the real boxers are going to win. The younger guys.
I tell you, when you look at, and I know of a couple of guys who have been around boxing all their life that they're like 75 years old, and I tell you what, they still look like they could get into the ring and beat up they could beat me up. You know what I mean? I'm 50 years old. I got 25 years on them and still feel like that I would get my ass kicked by some of these 75-year-old guys. And when you're in the boxing and you are in that lifestyle, you don't leave that lifestyle. It consumes you. And so, although it sounds ridiculous that we would not want to watch 2 75-year-old guys fighting, I think that's. I'll be honest. I kind of feel like it's intriguing. It's like the train wreck that you gotta watch. That it's like I think that
look away.
It would be kind of cool to see that. You'd feel bad for the guy who gets knocked out, but I think that there is something for that, and it goes back a little bit to Rocky Balboa. You know what I mean? I'm talking the movie Rocky Balboa, when he's like, I still got stuff in the basement. You know what I mean? Because these boxers still do. It's still in them. It's still a part of their lives. So I think that there is a market for it.
Yeah, hey, there's a market for anything really. I mean, talking bananas. There's a market for anything out there. I still can't get into girls fighting. I don't like it. I just don't like watching girls beat the hell out of each other. I think about my daughter or whatever. I know that a lot of people think I'm nuts. I'm a chauvinist. I'm not. If you get attacked somewhere, a girl should be able to defend herself. I taught my daughter how to defend herself. Got it. But I can't watch 2 women blood each other up in the middle of the ring, and it just bothers me. I don't know how you guys feel, but it just
there was a match on last night, and I feel the same way. What's the girl, Ronda Rousey? I mean, cute face, pretty face, and that's the last time I've seen 2 women fight, and I didn't watch the whole thing. It was so disturbing. Some things, I mean, people probably disagree with me, especially me being a woman, but I agree with you, Mac. Like, it's one thing to defend yourself, but to deliberately go out and bloody yourself up as a female, like, let's just keep some of our femininity to ourselves. Like, I just feel like there's no reason for a woman to go around with a busted up face because they chose. I know they chose the profession. I know they chose the profession, but I'm saying I just don't like it. I don't like it either.
Feminists all around the world are not going to be happy with what you're saying. It's like,
I know
they want equal.
If they choose to do that, they can choose to do that for them. But I, as a fan, a connoisseur of sports, do not like it. As a female, I do not like it because it's one thing to defend myself and another thing to deliberately sign up for my face to be broken, bruised, everything. It's barbaric, honestly.
Let me ask you a question, Sonia. If they offered you $2 million to get in the ring and maybe get your face busted up, I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, it's about the money, whether.
I mean, but let's be clear too. I mean, this is just regular, just anatomy. People can die from head blows, and women, and like it or not, feminists or not, It is scientifically proven that women's bodies are designed differently than men's are, not just for reproductive purposes, but just sustainability purposes. So a punch to a woman could take a woman out or deform them for life that a man may be able to sustain, whether it comes from another female or from a man. So for me, I just feel like there's no price on my health and my productivity in life. So I'm gonna be like, you know what? I guess it depends on how hard up for cash I really am. Asking me today, no, there's no price on me knowing that I may have a brain injury from a fight I signed up for, and I can't even enjoy that $2 million. That $2 million may be used to keep me alive because I'm hooked up to machines because I took a head blow. It's just not worth it to me. You got to kind of look at the big picture sometimes beyond what's in front of you.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. James, how about you? Would you get in the ring, MMA ring? You go train. You got to train first, of course, but you're going to go up against one of the better MMA fighters, and they offer you $2 million. Go in there and give a showing.
They don't even. First of all, MMA, they don't even offer that amount of money.
Well, I'm just saying
you have to get. No, still wouldn't. Not for boxing.
Really?
I play football. Football is a brutal sport. No, I wouldn't want to get in the ring with boxing, man.
Really?
Those guys, unless if I had it in me to want to be a fighter, getting hit in the head thing and seeing pugilism is a beautiful sport. It's beautiful when you see it, how it's done, but the end results for some of them that stay too long, you see what happens to guys after that. I just wouldn't know. I wouldn't get in the ring for the money for that, unless I was a boxer. Let's just say not just getting in the ring. If I was somebody that loved that sport, then it'd be differently. If I'm standing in that guy's shoes, then I'm saying I want to go to the top. I want everything that I deserve, that I earned. But just saying no, hypothetically, no,
yeah,
I wouldn't get in the ring.
Well, I know about Bo Crouch is saying you are say dudes pull off cauliflower ear better.
Wow.
I think that the talk to text didn't work there really well. So,
Right.
something about cauliflower ear.
Has he been in a fight that took a headshot? That's what it sounds like.
Well, Bo has a reputation of drinking before 12, so I think that's what it is.
Oh, hi, Bo.
Oh, he's drinking before 8.
Yes.
It's early over there.
If I lived in Seattle,
if
I lived in Seattle, I'd be drinking heavily too. That's one place that I wouldn't want to live. So let's ask you, Pags. Pags, you have to go up against a boxer, MMA fighter, whoever, a very good one. They offer you $2 million. You train for however long you think to get in shape. Do you do it?
Yeah. Especially MMA. Only because the one thing that I'm good at is I can take a punch. At least I used to be able to. It's been a long time since I got punched in the head. But,
right.
I would absolutely get in the ring. Because the truth of the matter is with MMA, if you catch the guy right, the fight's over. And anyone can do that, one punch or one kick to do that. So I have more of a chance there. It's likely that they're going to catch me. I'm going to fall back. He's going to pound on me 3 times. The ref is going to come grab him, and the fight's over. I'm going to take my $2 million and go home. Bloody eye, busted nose. Guess what? My eye, my nose will all get fixed. I'll have $1.8 million to figure the rest of it out.
Right. Minus the taxes. But anyway. We're going to
fight in Dubai, so I don't have to pay the tax.
There you go. If I didn't have my medical condition, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I can't look the way I am now. But if I didn't do it, I'd be signing on the dotted line. I have no problem with that at all. And I'd wear my
$2 million. $2 million is my number. $1 million ain't enough. $2 million.
Right. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Go ahead.
I'll pillow fight Sonya for $1 million, though.
I'll pillow fight you. Yes.
What about the fight last night where the girl, Nina Hughes versus Johnson? The guy incorrectly called the winner. He called Nina Hughes the winner, and then he realized he was wrong, and then had to have the ref bring him back out and called Johnson the winner. That's crazy. How does that even happen?
I guess they're not qualified as they used to be. I don't know. Maybe he got hit with a punch. I've seen refs get hit with a punch. I've seen refs take control of a fight. I don't know if you guys ever seen the video, but check it out. Just look at refs controlling MMA or boxing. They put these guys in chokeholds, and so they don't mess around.
Oh yeah. There's times where I've watched one of the fighters swing at the ref, and the ref knock him out.
Yeah.
So those refs got to train in MMA to get in the ring like that. Like, I'm not going in there to ref an MMA fight because I'm not going to put myself in that type of harm's way.
Yeah. And these refs are former fighters and stuff, boxing and they're former wrestlers and whatever. Man, this guy was pounding on MMA fighter was pounding on another one. He took him, threw him off. He went back again. He took him and threw him off. He went back again, and the guy threw him on the floor. And even the cops came in. I mean, this is how bad it was. And he had him in a chokehold. I mean, wow. So anyway, don't mess around when it comes to that. So, folks, again, happy Mother's Day. Glad you guys could join us, Bo, Jason.
Got a New York T-shirt on for you today, Matt.
All right, there you go. The Yankees, yes, the Yankees.
Oh, they are the third best team in Major League Baseball behind
Yankees.
Phillies.
Yes.
Yes, they don't play in the same division, Pax. I mean,
you guys
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We all play all the same teams now. Everybody plays the same teams, and we all play everybody. And the Phillies are number one.
Okay, I give it to you.
Braves are coming. He's got a Braves shirt too. Braves are coming.
All right, there you go. The Braves
are having a little bit of a hard time. They're injury ridden, and I fully expect now. Before, I thought the Braves were going to win the NL East. I got the Phillies winning it now. I think that the Braves are getting too far behind and don't have the pitching to withstand.
They really
making a run. They're going to be in the playoffs, but it's
hard.
Pax, last year you guys were like 13 games out and still made the playoffs.
But yeah, right? Well, no, they're going to make the playoffs. The Braves are still one of the better teams in the National League. In fact, I would go as far to say they're the third best team in the National League. But their pitching's not going to be able to hold up because now that like I said, the injuries are hurting them. The injuries are really hurting them.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I saw that I didn't go over. This kid Skeen, I talked about him Friday. He struck out 7 batters, ended up walking in like 4-2. He lost control. Throws 102 miles an hour. So that's going to be interesting to see how far this kid goes. Throwing sausage at players after they hit home runs. They almost knocked one of the guys out, hit him in the helmet, and he was wearing 2 helmets when he came.
With a sausage?
With
sausage?
Package sausage. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
No,
that's something I want to start throwing weenies after home runs. That's perfect.
You never saw such a thing.
Right, there you go.
Look at you being funny and everything.
Yes, she's scheduled for the next roast when they roast Bryce Young. But anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in to the Big Football Show and more. Thanks to Keith Angle, of course, Pags, James, Sonia, great job as always. Jack checked out early, but he was here, and I know you all saw him. But anyway, thanks again for all the likes, loves. Glad having you. Stay tuned to Roku, All Sports, all day. And we are on Instagram Threads now. So Instagram Threads is supposed to be a huge thing. And we're on there right now promoting, sharing videos and stuff like that. So check us out over on Instagram Threads. All right. Have a great one. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your Mother's Day.